Well, I'm riding in cold, feel this way for too long. Bring the healer, bring the light, not the gold, 'cause I can be sold. Show me a healer. Try to deny my precious broken wings, but still I'm set to fly. They keep wondering why. Becoming another harmless prophet machine. Now I'm in between, and it's so obscene. Bring the sun instead of winning the sea. Only to be free, that I guarantee. Still in your breath, just one last time to see. Am I still alive? Well, I'm riding cold, feel this way for too long. Bring the healer, bring the light, not the gold, 'cause I can be sold. Show me a healer, bring the healer. There's no okay, while it's long enough for me to see how it should be. Count on to extinction of this melody. Drive away from me. This shining city built of gold, a far cry from innocence. There's more that meets the eye around here. Look to the waters of the deep. A city of evil. There sat a seven-headed beast. 10 horns raised from his head. Symbolic woman's its on his throne, but hatred strips her and leaves her naked. A beast in the heartland. She's a dwelling place for demons. She's a cage for every unclean spirit. Every filthy bird and makes us drink the poison wine to fornicate with her dreams.
Holy fuck, that was a good intro.
Yeah, it was.
That got me all hyped up for no reason. There's no reason for me to get hyped up
Energy
tonight.
to it.
I got my chest, heart beating in my chest. I'm ready to start fucking breaking shit. How are you doing, buddy? You doing good?
I'm doing good. Maybe not that good. I'm not ready to start breaking
I'm just
shit.
excited. I don't know why I'm so excited.
There. Just save the guitar back there. Don't break the guitar.
I'll just, that would be awesome, though, wouldn't it? Just see me come around and grab that thing, just bash it like fucking Paul Stanley or Kurt Cobain or something.
I've seen that so many times, and
It's overrated.
I get it. I get it. You're in the mood, but at the same time, like, man, that costs a lot of money. You have to replace that.
You should have seen what I did to my drums when I played. I was going through heads about every other fucking show that I would do. I mean, I just banged the shit out of them angry. They started sounding like fucking lawyers from St. Anger. That's how much I bashed the shit out of them.
Now I've got to thinking like just giving it hell in the kick drum, and then you've got calves like this bigger, like calf muscles.
Calf muscles bigger than fucking the 8-time Olympian Arnold Schwarzenegger. So what's going on, guys? Let's say hello to everybody here in the chat. What's going on, Patrick Walsh? How are you doing, buddy? We got Lindsay up in the house. Good evening, good morning to you. I guess it's probably like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning for you. We got the old wolf. What's going on, buddy? Evening, Mary Beth. I gotta get some of these chats. Hello. Good evening. No. What I wonder what are you talking no about, old wolf? What's no going on here?
I think the guitar breaking.
Oh, that's probably it. Hello, Bonnie. A new person to the show. So welcome. Hello, how are you doing? Welcome to the show. I don't recall. I'm sitting here. I paused because I'm trying to process if I've seen her on before, and I don't think I've ever seen her on. So good evening and welcome to the show. He says, no, do not destroy the guitars. See, I was right. 2 a.m. in the morning. We got a good show. This is our second time around with this guest tonight. We're already causing wreaking havoc, being delinquents backstage already. So this is going to be an interesting show. And no, I'm not the cause of it. I just participate in it. Papa's the one that starts all the chaos backstage.
You're still guilty by association.
I'll go with that, but I'm not the ringleader this time. Papa, you are. But this is the second time around we've had him on the show. I don't remember how well the first one went. So I think this is going to be like a redeem episode. Because I don't remember. Did we even get talking about him at all? I think it was one of those shows that the conversation has kind of went its own way. We never really got to kind of dig deep into what he does. So this is kind of like our redemption show tonight. Don't steal my picnic basket, Yogi. God damn. All right, here we go. Everybody, please welcome. Everybody, please welcome the host of Midgard Musings and Random Heathen Ramblings. Please, everybody, welcome Jesse to the show. Jesse, hello. Welcome. How are you doing, buddy?
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, don't think it's yet. The show just began.
Well, thanks for letting me just
partake in the chaos.
Yeah. You know, just jive with you.
Just don't steal nobody's picnic baskets.
No.
Hey, I got a picnic basket. Welcome. So if they're saying welcome, Shy says welcome.
Hello,
Jesse. Because I'm sure that's who she's talking to. Anyway,
we'll assume so.
We'll assume so. Anyway, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on for the second time.
Yeah, man.
He's got to be the ones that's very special because normally they don't come back a second time, do they, Papa?
Oh wow.
No, I'm just kidding.
Look at this guy. Yeah, I mean he's co-hosting with you, so he must have been doing something right.
Tell everybody who doesn't know you, Jesse. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself and these things that you got going on here.
Okay. Well, yeah, like you said, I'm Midgard Musings is my the brand, I guess you want to call it. So I get a YouTube channel, Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, Patreon. But the main thing that I do on the platforms is the Random Heathen Ramblings podcast, which is everywhere that you can absorb podcasts. So, you know, Spotify, Apple, Google, Pandora, just anywhere, you know. So if you just search for it, you'll find it. And it's literally that. It's kind of evolved into just a random, very free form sort of podcast. I do have guests on from time to time, and it's kind of focused around the heathen side of things, the Germanic or Norse flavor of paganism, if you want to call it that.
I really think it's cool too, because if you go looking and doing any research, there's really not a whole lot of like pagan heathen related podcasts out there. So I think it's a really cool idea that you decided to pick that up.
Yeah, you know, I started podcasting like maybe a couple years after the channel kind of launched, and I was doing, you know, my content originally started with just kind of discussing the various stanzas of the Havamal, which is a poem in the Poetic Edda, and it gets a lot of attention by especially newer heathens. They look at the Havamal as this almost kind of like a Bible in a way, which is really not what it wasn't ever intended to be, or really should be. But I started reading from the beginning of the Havamal, and I would go through 9 stanzas at a time every week, and I would do it as like a live stream. And I thought, well, why don't I just start uploading this stuff onto YouTube? And of course, when you end the poem, the Havamal, it's like, well, now what do we do? And it just kind of became, let's talk about the various gods and goddesses and other topics surrounding heathenry, such as worldviews and whatever might have struck my interest or fancy at the time. So the podcast kind of started shortly after I was doing all of that, and then I stopped doing it. And then the more I got into content creation, I thought podcasting was the thing, especially around the pandemic back in 2020. I thought the podcasting thing is going to be something that can really help occupy people's times and occupy my time and give me the chance to just kind of freeform and talk about things. And as I'm learning, share with my viewers and followers and supporters. And that's just kind of where that's kind of the lane that I've stayed in now for the most part. I do some short form content too, but the majority of it is the podcast.
Now, how long have you been doing these shows for now?
Well, I want to say that I launched the channel like around 2016, 2017, and then the podcast as it is right now, this is season 4. So just about the last 4 years of consistent.
I mean, you do them just about every week too, if you can.
Yep, I try to do every Thursday morning. I try to have an episode release. Yeah, as long as there's really nothing else that pops up that's more important, because I have priorities that I try to maintain, and the podcast is one of them. But of course, hearth, family, and clan is way above that. So if there's other things that pop up that I need to focus on my attention on, then I'll defer to the next week. But I try to.
I'm glad you acknowledge that too. That's the most important thing, is taking care of personal life above anything else that you do. That's always been sort of a challenge for me. Sometimes I get so caught up in the work, but I have been teaching myself to step back a bit and spend more time with the kids and the family, more doing things around here at the house. It's important.
That's actually how I connected with Jesse, was through Midgard Musings.
Yep.
I was getting into the online scene, the social media scene with paganism, and it was hard at the time to not kind of get the gist that it's an unhealthy scene in ways. So part of my job is to go in and do that triage or that diagnosis. And one of the things you always want to start with when you see something unhealthy is, well, what are you taking in? What are you eating? What are you consuming? So I started looking at the content that was being put out by creators. I was hearing a lot of wrong things, misinformation, funky things. So I wanted to find where this stuff was coming from. And then I came across Midgard Musings with Jesse, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is some good food. This is some good stuff. And from there, I started, for lack of a better term, prescribing Midgard Musings, random heathen ramblings to people that I speak with.
Well, that speaks volumes about your path too, right? I mean, if you kind of got to be walking the walk before you can go out there and like do these shows, and it shows through your work. You know what I mean? That the commitment you put into your path and your practice, it shows through your work. Now, you was never always this walk that you have right now. What's a little bit about your backstory? How did you get to this point? What made you decide to follow this path that you're on now?
Well, you're right. I came into this path out of like Christianity. So I was raised in a denominational flavor of Christianity. But I moved from my home state to Tennessee back in the mid 2000s. And I was still, I guess you could say Christian at the time. And but I was questioning a lot of things. I wasn't really feeling like what Christianity, it wasn't really serving a purpose for me. I felt like that was the only way. So I kind of was forcing myself into it. And or keeping myself focused on that, because I thought again that was the only way. And I reached a point, the late 2000s, where I kind of just fell off the bus. I was like, well, leave me off at the next stop. I don't know where it's going to be. I don't care. Just get me off of this bus and let me figure shit out myself for a while. So I really didn't have a focus or a spiritual path or religious path. I kind of just always had Christianity in the back of my mind, but never really devoted myself to much of the belief systems, and it was probably like the 20 teens, like 2012, 2013, probably right around the time that like Vikings came out on the History Channel. And a lot of people will say this, that's been a lot of folks' interest, that's what kind of sparked their interest into learning about
It's a good
Norse
thing.
and Germanic stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's entertaining. I always like a good saga. I always like a good entertainment, right?
And that sparks interest in people's minds of what is this pagan lifestyle they talk about on these shows.
Yeah, exactly. So, if I have to be honest, I would say that was probably the one thing that really kind of lit the fire for me to explore and learn more. And I've, funny enough, like when I first moved to the state of Tennessee, I had like 0 tattoos, no piercings. I was pretty like clean cut, short hair, everything. And I got a Thor's hammer, a Mjolnir tattoo on my arm soon after I moved down here. So, again, the late 2000s. And just because I thought, well, I knew my history, my ancestry was Germanic, a lot of Dutch and continental Germany. And so I was thought, well, this symbol means something to that culture, you know what I mean? Not really knowing the background of it. So I got it thinking, well, it's a symbol of strength. It's a symbol of power. It's this, and that's why I got it. But turns out there's way more to the meaning of that and what it represents for heathens. And I thought it was kind of neat how I got it initially not being pagan, and then gravitated more into paganism and learned about Germanic heathenry and found a home with that. It really spoke to me. It resonated with me. And
now, was your household as a kid, was it a Christian-based household that you lived in?
Oh yes.
So was that a hard transition from going from Christianity into moving over into the paganism side of things? Was that a hard transition for the family? Because I know when I decided to go this path myself, people in my life dropped off. Family members just started dropping off, going, "What is this? You're going to go to hell for this. I don't want no part of this." That was a big issue with me and my father, to be honest, was that right there in itself.
Oh yeah, I as a matter of fact, I kept that part of my life when I learned about heathenry and started exploring that as a path of spiritual and religious practices. I didn't tell my family for the longest. And it wasn't until I was flat out asked by my mother, and I didn't want to lie to her, that I pretty much dropped that bomb and said, I'm not Christian. I don't follow that belief system. And when she asked what I was, and I said what I was, that was a pretty shocking, and they were upset about it, and still are.
Well, that seems to be a trend. Now, my dad passed away, but my mom is still around, and she's become more accepting of what I do. I mean, I think she finally realizes that this is who I am now, and this is the path that I'm on, and she's becoming more open-minded about it. So that's a plus. But man, I went through that. A lot of my family members dropped off like flies due to me taking this path and doing the things that I do.
The hurt that I feel from experiencing that has, like, I mean, it really hit hard for me, because so much of the worldview surrounding heathenry has a lot to do with loyalty to family, kin. Frith, one of the concepts, one of the things that kind of surrounds heathenry is based on family, largely. And so when your family, when your blood, when your kin when you have turmoil with that, it really, it's
It
tough.
stings. It
Yeah, it's
stings.
tough to get through. Yeah.
It really is. I still struggle with it today. There's a lot of like regrets that I wished I just I would have bit my tongue or just bite my lip and let them say what they want to say. I get pretty bullheaded. Like I'm very protective of my space and I set pretty firm boundaries. I'm not going to allow people that's going to bring me down, be in my life. And that was a lot of my issue with my father. Is that a lot of it was I was bullheaded. I wasn't going to allow the negative views and the talk to be my issue. So there's, it's a give or take really on it. Really, it's tough. And sometimes I wish, that I would have gone a different route and maybe just let them say what they say and not be so damn proud about it.
I'm fortunate in that a lot of my family agree, but then at the same time, a lot don't agree with my path and my practice. But the notable difference is, although they don't agree with it, they respect my path and my practice. And that's a huge thing. I think we've come away from that a lot in modern times, is that we forget we can disagree but still be respectful.
That's it.
And
That's key.
I don't have to agree that you want to follow the Abrahamic religions, but I can respect the fact that that's your choice.
And you never got to talk to me about it. We never have to have a conversation about it. And
There are literally a
what my path
million
is.
other things that we could talk about
Yeah,
and
we don't have
agree
to
on.
talk about it. Yeah, we don't have to. You know that I am.
So
We'll
we're
just leave
so
it at
bent
that.
and focused on what we don't agree on that's what we want to talk about nowadays, and there's so much divide in it. But
It's a shame.
Yeah. But in throughout my growth in this path, what I've learned is that family does not always mean that they are your blood,
That's
because
it.
family is who you can rely on and who can rely on you. And that's the whole frith thing. There's a sense of obligation that is either inherent because of that familial bond, or that becomes part of the relationship once your friendships become deeper and your bonds become more interwoven with each other's lives, and you realize, like, hey, if I need something, so and so is going to have my back, and if they need something, I got their back. There's this almost unspoken and unwritten contract that gets established. Who your family are, and it doesn't always mean blood.
I agree 100%. Subconsciously I ended up building a community because I've always been like that black sheep of my family. I was always the one that if I was going to do something bad, I was going to do it 100% all the way. So I became that black sheep. Don't have him around. I don't want him around my house. So I was always pushed away. So I think part of what I've done subconsciously, I realized this a few years back when I started this, is that I was building a community that honestly does believe in loyalty, or try. For the most part, you get your few people that come in and out that are not meant to be part of your path no more, but you try to build a community that suits around what your needs are. And that's having family, people that you could trust, people around you can work with and care for and have conversation with, be able to speak your mind and not feel like you're being judged.
Yeah, you mentioned subconsciously building a community, and that's one of the things that I've really felt for a long time, but recently made a point of saying, is that if ever you feel like you want to build something of a community, whether it's a small tribe, whether it's a larger scale sort of things, is the biggest mistake I think people make is trying to recruit people. Okay, come join us. Hey, come do this.
Oh yeah.
Have a vision, live your vision out, right? And apply the things that you feel are valuable, and the folks that share similar values, that want to align with you on that, are going to gravitate towards you. And the community, the tree is going to grow organically in that way. And you're not going to have to feel like you're forcing, people to come or seek recruitment in any way. And that's one of the things that
what is that saying? If you build it, they will come.
There it is. Yeah.
But then you still have to kind of keep a guard, or a bit of a wall there.
I like that word. Ironically, it turns out you're a wolf in black sheep
sometimes
clothing.
they all come.
Whenever you build something, you can't just let it grow out of control. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, if you build it, they will come, but then you've got to
You got to
maintain
trim
it.
the hedges. You got to
Yeah.
you got to take care of the crops and the stuff the seeds that you're growing. And sometimes that means sometimes that somebody's not going to fit into what you're doing, and you kind of got to let people go, and you try to do it in the best ways possible. But social media, and another thing too, I realized about my life too is that I don't think I'm ever meant to be part of a like in-person tribe or kindred. It's more for me. I think I'm an online community that I've been able to be part of,
Hmm.
and I think that's where my wheelhouse is at. I've always seemed to be the guy that runs around like the lone wolf.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because there was I've also, in terms of my social media and content and whatnot, one of the people who, in the early days when I was starting my channel, and even up to this day, is a huge inspiration for me, is a guy. His name is Eric Wordweaver Shervin, and he has a show on YouTube called The Raven's Call. And he recently did a video about that, this online heathenry and cult of personality, and how him and I share a lot of similar views. He's been living a heathen life for decades, so longer than I have. But we share very similar worldviews in that heathenry specifically functions at its best at the grassroots level. You can't experience things like frith that I was talking about earlier without interpersonal relationships. You cannot experience this long distance online. You can build great friendships. You can have wonderful relationships. You can do great things like you've done, and the channel, what I do. I mean, there's been a lot of good that's come of it. And some of those things have started off as an online long distance relationship and have grown and become something of a frith bound interpersonal relationship. Papa, for example, right? We started our relationship off because of Midgard Musings, and he had been on the channel several times. He's been on my podcast several times, and our relationship has evolved and grown to where we've shared in meaningful ritual together. We have done things at the grassroots level to bond in a way that we could never have achieved the relationship we have now had we not done those things. And it all started because of the social media content.
There's definitely a different vibe when you're able to meet the people in person and you're able to read their energy, take part of what they're doing. There's a different vibe to it, and I totally get
Not
it.
just that, but it's that building. You can be the greatest friends on earth, like with somebody online. You can talk about
Trust me, I
anything and
know.
everything. But there's this special thing that happens, like just for example, with Jesse, to be able to be freezing cold halfway up this mountainside waterfall and be able to turn and put your hand out and another person put their hand out, and that trust that's there in that moment, it's a whole different level of bond and friendship,
I
way
think
beyond anything else that you could experience.
I think that people really want to know the real question. Everybody wants to know since you told that little story there was, did you guys both wear the golden shorts?
I had black on. It was black and gold, man. It was the bumblebee. Or the
had to
hornet
bring
or
it up.
something. I don't know.
I don't remember what shorts I had on that time.
You had them like school bus yellow
Yeah,
trunks on, I think.
the neon.
The Richard
in case
Siemens.
I went down the waterfall and got washed away a little bit, you'd at least be able to find my body on down.
Oh, you
the
definitely
water
always
really
see his ass bobbing out the river, and it's just those yellow shorts
I'm gonna get some with
bobbing down
the
the river.
reflector stripes on them.
There he is.
Put a strobe light on each butt cheek.
Put it like a buoy on there or something that just bobs up and down when you're.
There's popping his golden shorts bobbing right down that river.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're hanging out here with Jesse from Midgard Musings. We're going to play some music as always on the show. We try to help out and play some of those independent artists out there that are doing things on their own. And I ran across this band the other day, Deadly Vices, and they got this new song out called Notice Me. So we're going to play that tonight. So sit where you guys are at, well, or go get something to drink, then come back. But we're going to play some Deadly Vices, and this is their song, Notice Me. Right back, everybody.
Where Forever May Fall, and you're watching Inner Demon Media.
Thought you never notice my attempts to impress. Follow me into my world. I'm beautiful and charming, innocence disarming, larger than life, little girl. I wanna drag you down into my gutter. You'll get a taste of how it feels. Always left unwanted, never feeling needed. All I want is for someone to notice me, 'cause I'm ugly, but it is taste, and I need your eyes on me. Paint a pretty picture, I'll be your elixir, feed your desperate fantasy. And this thing we're caught in, underneath is rotten, taking another piece of me. I wanna drag you down into my gutter. You'll get a taste of how it feels. Am I ever-lucid, socially reclusive? All I want is for someone to notice me.
Hey, this is Rod from Just a Ride, and you're watching Inner Demon Media.
Holy shit, I like that fucking song.
Hey, man.
Well, I'm wondering, like, was it part of for the music video, or does the guy like Guns N' Roses? Did you catch it? The Axl Rose, the bandana, the hat, the glasses, the flannel, the grunge
I
t-shirt.
saw for a second he looked like M Shadows from Avenged
That's
Sevenfold.
exactly what I was thinking. It had a really, like, he was embracing M Shadows.
But sound nothing like
style.
him. Definitely
Yeah,
got
no.
a nice grunge feeling. I didn't see the video until just now. I played the song on my radio show, but I've never watched that video until just now. And holy fuck, notice me. I noticed you.
Yeah, man.
I see you.
Good. It was good.
I see you.
Bravo.
You know,
Go check-
I think it's a great song for what it touches on, and the video too. And
Sadly, we're victims of that too.
We talked on this, maybe not last episode, but a couple back. Like somebody asked, "Can social media be an addiction?" And I think we all kind of had to answer yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
It can be addictive.
Well, you get on here and as a content creator myself, it's an easy trap to find yourself.
Very easy.
Because that instant gratification, that the the likes, the reacts, the whatever. I mean, your ego can become poisoned by
out of control
that.
Ego.
Yeah. Yep.
I like that you're able to separate. And do you use it for ego or do you use it for education? You see that this one got a lot of likes. It got a lot of attention. So that tells you this content is speaking to the audience. This is what people want to hear about, what they want to talk about, what they want to learn about. This one, maybe not so much. So ego versus education as a content creator. And I appreciate you for that.
Well, that's really what the direction that the podcast has gone in, because I made a post about a month ago on my Facebook page asking the people, what would you like to hear on the podcast? And, comments after comments start coming in, and I go, see, that's what it's about, man. And I have an episode airing tomorrow about a topic that I'm really just indifferent about, or maybe leaning on the side of not really interested in talking about it. But as I mentioned in the episode that you guys will see tomorrow, I said, it ain't about me. It's about the people. And what did the people want to hear talked about? So let's talk about it. And the responses that come from questions, it's like it's if that's what people want to hear talked about, well, then I guess we're going to talk about it.
That's good stuff. I sort of do the same thing, but I sort of do the same thing on my personal page. What I do on like Inner Demon Media is more for the community, but my personal page, I like to, I do it because I want to do it mentality on that. I think where if I'm feeling inspired, I'm feeling inspired, and I hope people, when they see something that I put out there, that they're feeling inspired as well. But the Inner Demon Media page is for the community, but my personal page, I like to. Things are I run it a little bit differently, I guess. And when I first started doing this, it was all about ego. You wanted that instant. I'm guilty of it. You get all that attention all at once, and then next thing you know, not being somebody new into the community and doing something totally new that I didn't know anything about. I just jumped into podcasting. It's like, and all of a sudden it blew up, and then all that instant gratification becomes very addictive. And then the next thing you know, it's an addiction to feed your ego. And then you just let it get out of control unless you keep it in check. So I commend anybody who's able to, with the popularity of your podcast, be able to keep those things in check is very, very important.
I believe in sincerity, and there's a fine line to walk on with content creation, because you're presenting yourself to an audience, and the audience sees a version of you, of us, but they don't see the real you. They see a version of you. And it's walking the fine line between being sincere and being who I am, but also being the sincerest version of myself for the audience sake. I'm the way that I am with my wife, totally different than the way I am with people online, for sure, but also different with people in person that aren't my wife. You know what I mean? Like, everybody gets a different version, and it's not to be fake. It's to just, everyone has their place. You know what I mean?
You have to have boundaries.
Right.
It's subjectional. Like the bathroom, for example, that's the place you go to do that bathroom business. You're not going to go out in the middle of the street and do that. There's a time and a place. And so no,
hey, don't put it above me, man. I've been known to do some wild things.
I'm about to say, don't dare me. I'll take a shit, take a picture of it.
If you wear a uniform at work, that's part of it. You're not going to wear that uniform at home. You're not going to wear your home clothes at work. But when you're in that environment, if you go out to dinner, you're going to have a different etiquette than if you were sitting at your own dining room table, because it's about respect. You're respecting the people around you by maintaining that etiquette. You're not fake for it. You're just practicing good social etiquette.
Well,
Exactly.
you have to, in social media, you've built a brand, you've built a persona. Almost at some point, you kind of create an alter ego, and that's not for any other reason but to try to protect some of your family from what social media can be. You want to protect them a little bit, so you kind of, some people alter names. I went under Mirrodin Seer for the longest time because I didn't want nobody to know my real name. I didn't want nobody to see my kids and stuff like that. And so I get that you want to. It was very important for me now. It's important for me now that I keep the two separate. The business of Inner Demon Media and these shows, you're seeing one side of me, but my family is going to see something totally different.
Hmm.
And I only share, and it's important to only, for me, it's important I share what I want to share. I don't have to share everything.
Yes, and
Some
that's a
things
trap
need to
that
be private.
you're absolutely right, because there's that pitfall too, that once people get on social media and rightly, wrongly, or indifferent. I mean, we're in this age of influencers, right? That's what people want to call themselves now. Well, think about what that implies. How are you influencing people, and
Yep.
what are you doing? And they get into this pitfall of like, well, I'm online and I gotta vlog about every cotton picking thing that I do. No, you don't,
Nope.
and you shouldn't. You know, have a vision. Again, have something that you want to maybe deliver, whether it's entertainment or education or a little bit of both. Tailor it around that, but know where to keep certain things, and some things just need to stay in their place and nowhere else.
I agree
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
Not the audience
There's a
doesn't
great
need to
deal-
know everything.
There's a great deal of what should come along with uh, that position as a content creator or an influencer, and that's responsibility.
Yep.
A lot of people let that shit go out the window and will say anything, do anything, promote anything, throw anything out there, whatever, for attention. And it's absolutely irresponsible because you're giving a lot of people just shit
Mhm.
information, shit product, shit whatever, but just for the sake of maintaining that image or maintaining that ego. And so, again, Jesse, I have to appreciate you for the responsibility that you exhibit in your platform, in your position as a content creator.
Thank you.
Mary
Appreciate
Beth knows what's up. She knows what this is all about. Music, witchery, and comedy. We try to entertain, plus inform.
Who is? It made me think of. I'm sorry to cut you off, Sid, but who is it that said it? Was it Goat Whore? Is it Hail Satan, Chug Whiskey, something like that? You know that. It kind of goes along the same lines in a way. But
I mean, once you figure out what you want to do in social media, if that's what you want to take on, once you find that pocket that you're meant to be at, I feel that's where you should stay at, and only share intimate stuff when the time feels right, or it's an appropriate time to share certain things. I get a lot of slack sometimes when people say that I share too much. Like, I shouldn't have shared a picture of my son sitting in the hospital bed. I shouldn't have shared that. But for me, I wanted people to be inspired by it, and I didn't give it no thought that it could hurt people as well too. So there's a fine line, and I'm still trying to learn that balance, because I like to share personal things in my life on my personal page to give, let people know that if they're going through something similar, and it's real, and it's not just you going through it. There's other people that you follow me, and you're seeing me go through these things. I've always thought of it being a confirmation for other people to see someone else going through a similar situation, and maybe give them a little bit of guidance on how I'm navigating through it, or vice versa. I'm seeing someone go through something, maybe I can take a lesson from it and apply it to my life as well. But there is a fine line, and sometimes you don't know. Sometimes there's no GPS or navigator to kind of guide you through these things, and you just kind of live and learn, I guess.
I like what Old Wolf has said here. Sharing honestly encourages others to find their voice. It really does. And I was wanting to touch on this as you were talking. So if sharing that is part of your healing process and it has a benefit for other people that will see that message or hear that, you've got to do it for that. And those that find a problem with it, you've got to remember that they have a personal responsibility to themselves. If they're bothered by it, they can scroll past it. They can choose not to see it, not to react to it, not to comment on it, not to make it a part of their damn day or take up their time.
Well, to be
So
fair,
if they are giving it their time, then there might be some other reasons.
me just being honest here, I don't give a fuck if they like it or not. I still do it. I still do it.
All the time that I don't like, and I just go past it.
It's
Yeah,
very
scroll
easy
on.
to do. Half a second,
I
a
just go
second.
past it. I'm not going to give it my time. I'm not going to sit and like type up some well thought out rebuttal to it. Like, no, if I don't give a shit, I don't give a shit. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm going to move on and go about the things that I do like in my day. The more I give that thing that I don't like, the more I take away from the things that I do. And I like my family a lot, so I'm not going to take away from them to argue with somebody on the internet about something trivial.
You just get blocked. I give shit. I give rat's ass less. I'm not going to waste my time arguing with nobody. I'm beyond that. If you don't like what I'm doing, I'm sorry. Goodbye.
Yeah, I
Apparently
mean,
you're the weakest link.
you're of your own free will. You came here, and of your own free will, you can not be here, or we can show you the way out. It's our choice to engage or disengage, you know. And that's the other pitfall of content creation. I've come to find out is when you have a voice and when you say things and people don't like it and they want to voice their disdain about it. Now the ball's in our court, and we can decide whether we want to feed the trolls or whether we want to, you know, because there's this thing where you think of, well, all engagement is good engagement because it's keeping you relevant in the algorithm is doing, you know, its job, or, you know, you're staying relevant to the platforms. And so you kind of, at least I have in the past, have found myself like, well, I'll just respond to everything and anything because at least I'm getting comments or at least I'm getting interaction, and that's better than no interaction. And I've come to the point where I've like, not for my mental health, you know. I mean, and that's what it's ultimately about, because if I'm suffering internally and that is trickling into my family life or my social life, what good is this even doing? What's the outcome
You
of
have
this
to.
be?
That's where making yourself boundaries and how far are you going to let it go? How deep are you going to get? You commit yourself into this. I know when I first started, I had to comment to everybody. I was, if someone was inboxing me, I felt like it was an obligation of me to answer them back and give them help. And I've learned not to do that. It's really important because sometimes you'll get caught in these traps of conversation where people will drag you in for 2 or 3 hours dealing with issues all the time that it takes your whole day away. And the next day, the whole time that you spent feels like a waste because there they are doing the same things that they came for advice for. So I'm very selective about who I spend time with in an inbox nowadays. It's important. And especially I do not feed into the people leaving negative comments. That was a hard lesson too. I used to let that shit get to me. It would just drive me crazy. What you say to me? What? I'm about to slay some words.
You're all just like Kermit the Frog, just flailing on the keyboard at him. Yeah, I get it. Been there too.
I'm like you. I stopped doing that stuff a long time ago. It's just there's no fucking way I'm feeding into that. I'll just let you go. I'll just get rid of you. I'll block you, unfriend you, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people know Jesse from his online content and content creation, Midgard Musings, Random Heathen Ramblings, and check out his reels, by the way, too, the time that he spends out in nature. And that sort of transitions into what I wanted to talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, is the grassroots, Jesse, as you had mentioned that term earlier, grassroots. You would do a lot, you know, with feet on the ground in your local community as well. It's not just all online and social media. You've got things set up like park meets and working with other organizations in your area and all kinds of stuff. Do you want to talk about any of that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, so yeah, exactly right. I mean, talking about it is one thing, but hail the doers.
Talk about doing the do thing.
Yeah, hail the doers. Hail, because we are our deeds. And so, yes, the grassroots thing that we talk about, let's go out and do it. So there are the nice thing about where I'm in the location where I am is it's very rich and very diverse with the pagan and alternative religion communities, you know. So it's not just Christianity, even though we're kind of in the buckle of the Bible Belt, as it were. But there's a lot of alternative lifestyle people living in the area, which invite and welcome. It's inviting and it's welcoming. So we have, when we can, you know, park moots. So when the weather's nice and stuff, even when the weather's not so nice, like I remember we did one back in, I think it was March or April, you know,
It was
and
raining, wasn't it?
it was like 40 degrees out. It was kind of like drizzling, but we were under like a pavilion, but it was like at the top of a hill. So there was a breeze blowing. And then, you know, when it's 40 degrees and windy, that lowers the temperature down. But you know what? People showed up and they brought blankets and they brought coats and they bundled up, and we sat there and we talked about heathen stuff. You know what I mean? And we had snacks. We had social interactions with each other. And even here now, when it's starting to get warmer, I mean, we've got a park moot potluck sort of thing coming up in a couple of weeks. That's going to be, of course, outdoors under a pavilion. So even if it is raining, it's like, hey, if it's hot, then, well, welcome to Tennessee, I guess, you know, like, yeah, we got shade. So, you know, and then there's another heathen kindred in the area that hosts public events every year. And we try to, as much as possible, my tribe, we try to attend those events and show our support with them and come out and share in the social gathering, whether it's, you know, feasting or playing games, and then the rituals that come forth from those events. So there's a lot that's going on in our area that I'm fortunate to be involved in and help, whether it's facilitate or just engage with and be a part of. It's critical for, I think, how I've been able to grow as a heathen and as a person just in general, but especially with it being something so centric to my path, you know, being with people and getting to know folks and whether they want to or not, you know, giving them the opportunity to learn about what our group is about. And do you want to be a part of something? And we see that a lot in this area. You know, people are not a part of something, but they're looking to be a part of something. They are looking for a community. They are looking for a home, as it were. Well, yeah, they want that. They want the opportunity to build frith. You know what I mean? Frith is something that takes time and effort. But
you have to make that connection,
yes,
to get there. And that connection comes in getting out and connecting with people.
Absolutely. So it's a great place to be, in the state, at least, and abroad. You know, like we're kind of in an area where we're not too far from various state lines, and I've known people that have come to not events that I've or my tribe has necessarily hosted, but neighboring tribes that have hosted events. People have come from hundreds of miles away to attend these events, you know, because they see what that opportunity can provide, and they don't just come the one time, they return, that speaks volumes, you know.
Back when we were doing meet and greet here in North Carolina, and it was just a small thing. We only did it for a couple of years. Then life got too crazy for us to host anymore. But we had people coming from as far north as Michigan and then down toward Florida from the other side, just to be a part of something and get together and connect with like-minded people.
You ever think about doing anything like that again? You said life gets crazy, and then, yeah, absolutely, I understand that. But
life had got crazy. Ilva decided to begin her transition to the world, so family time took precedent over everything. Like you guys had mentioned earlier, I'm taking that family time. So the meet and greet is something that we have not picked back up for the last few years. We've been very family focused and oriented, and it's a very important time at the kids' age.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is their main development phase right now. This is really start to develop their minds, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to step back as much as I have, like doing radio shows just once a week, just stuff like that. is just because I want to spend more. I'm able to stay home with them, so I want to be able to help them through these critical next 2 to 3 years.
It is something that Cindy and I have talked about picking back up, and we've looked at a few locations. That way, we're not hosting here at the house. The amount of people, the camping, we have plenty of camping, but even still, that got to be a little crowded in ways. So we've talked about finding another location so that we can pick that back up, maybe here in a couple of years.
Yeah, that's just curious, because again, with what we were talking about earlier about how the online heathenry thing is, it has a place, or online community, like they have its a place, and there's value to them, I believe. But that sparks that can start some really good things. And what I really love to see is when people that have been whether subscribing, following, supporting what I do over time, they've started doing things themselves in their own area, or they've taken inspiration from, whether it's me or anybody else. They see like, oh, I want to do that, and I advocate that so heavily. If you can't find a way, then make a way. If there's nothing in your area already established, then damn it, establish it yourself. Do the thing, be the doer, because that's gonna add some really strong luck. Your Hamingia is gonna grow. The things that your descendants have to draw from down the line through Orlog is going to be so beneficial. And
if you want to shake hands, you can't be sitting on them.
There you go. I love that. Is that a Papaism, or is that something else?
It just kind of popped up.
Yeah. Okay, then.
That's a Papaism.
It pop it up.
If you want to shake hands, you can't be sitting on them.
I like that a lot. That's a good one.
Well, Jesse, we already hit our hour already, man.
It's been a blast. Thank you so much.
This was much better than I think the first time. I vaguely remember the first time just being random talking, and I'm glad that we kind of got to know you a little bit more deeper in some of your path and stuff. So thank you for hanging out with us and sharing some of your story with everybody, what you do and how it was you got to this point. That could be vital for people that tuning in now or watching later, or seeing that the transition from one path to another. It can be complicated, but it can be also fruitful at the same time too, as you can tell.
Yeah, it can be difficult, but don't let the difficulty dissuade you from following what you believe in your heart to be true, right? If it's true for you, feed it and stick through, and you'll be all right.
You want to give a shout out to any of your anything coming up for you, or social medias? You want to give a shout out to all that before we go?
Yeah, guys, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. It's Midgard Musings. The podcast is called Random Heathen Ramblings. You can find it on anywhere that podcasts are available. So just put that into your search if podcasts.
Highly suggest to go check that podcast out, because it really is good. I enjoy listening to it. When I can catch it when I'm not so busy, but that's not every week that I can. But the ones that I have listened to, just good stuff. So definitely highly suggest everybody check that podcast out.
Yeah,
I'm a big podcaster. I like listening to podcasts.
Definitely. And one of the greatest things that I appreciate about the Midgard Musings Random Heathen Ramblings podcast is you're hearing from someone on here about these things that are relevant and that you have interest in, but you're getting to hear them from someone who is also active in that grassroots ground level community, actually out there doing things, doing the meet and greets, getting out with people, networking, connecting, not just at a computer. You're taking that real life, real world experience and bringing it to the online world to share with others. The real boy.
That's one thing I love about you too. I'm gonna be honest. Is I like how you guys share what you guys do. You share with the community, because a lot of people keep that stuff kind of private. Like certain ceremonies you guys do, you'll get out, like you go out into the water and do your cleansings, and you guys share this stuff. And I think it's cool that you guys do, because a lot of people don't do that, or the ones that they do, they're just doing it for show, and it's not something that they're really authentic, or it's not really their path. They're just doing it because they've seen somebody else do it. I appreciate how you guys share as much as you guys do. It allows people to connect to what you guys are doing, and I've always felt that's important.
When you genuinely enjoy something, you talk about it, you share it. If you went and saw this movie and you thought it was awesome, you're going to go tell everybody, I saw this movie, you've got to see it. It was awesome. That's what Jesse's doing when he gets in that water. It's telling people, this is awesome. It's exhilarating. It's cleansing. It's good for the spirit. It's good for the mind. It's good for the body. I'm showing you this because I enjoy it.
Yeah, and there's definitely stuff that I don't share. I mean, not to take away from what you're saying, but there are plenty of things that I do in my practices that are just for me, or they are just for those who are present with me in the moment. And there's a lot of stuff that I don't share online, and it goes back to knowing our boundaries and keeping those boundaries guarded safely for our benefits and for the benefit of those who we have within those bounds, right? Within those inner yards, within those inner circles. That's for us. That's for who are close to us. It's not for everybody else. So you get a flavor of it. You get a taste of it. You get to see something that maybe is inspiring. Just realize that there's other stuff behind the scenes that don't always get shared for the right reasons.
That's why I like you two fellas. Keeping it real, my homies. Keeping it real.
Keeping it 100.
I was about to do those 3 words I did at the beginning of the show, and I stopped myself. You lucky. PP.
The PPPs.
That's it.
That's an inside joke right there.
It's going to stay inside too.
You don't know what we're talking about.
We're not going to stir the kettle that much. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We will catch you guys next Wednesday, as always, 8 p.m. Be sure to go check out Jesse and all of his socials. Check out his page, Midgard Musings. You'll get a lot of great content. And so, yeah, you guys have a great night. We'll catch you guys next week, or you'll catch me Sunday for the two Ravens and the Wolf Show with Monica and Lindsay. But outside of that, you guys have a great week, and we'll catch you next time. We're going to end tonight with Julisic with their song Fly High Again. You guys have a great night, and see you next week.
Hey, this is Josie Scott, the former lead singer of Saliva and the current lead singer of my band, Shade Violet. Hit me up on all my socials at josiescottrocks.com, Facebook, Twitter, all of it, Instagram. I'm here to tell y'all, you need to tune in to Inner Demon Radio, where you're going to hear some of the best mainstream unsigned artists anywhere. And the only thing left for you to do now is to look for my new band, Shade Violet, and tune in to Inner Demon Radio and release those inner demons.